Welcome to another Seek Out the Adventure video where you will be inspired to live an unusual and exciting life. Today I'd like to show you how we changed a basic Ford Transit passenger van into a camper van that suits our family of 8. Our family consists of my wife and I, as well as 6 children between the ages of 3 and 15. All right, let's quickly look at the outside and what we modified here to suit our needs. We didn't do much, but it does go a long ways. First, we got the Illuminess rack and ladder installed. We have this up here because we've gone on multiple weekend road trips where we're just doing multiple activities. We're boating, we're biking, and we're climbing and camping, and not all of that fits inside the van. So this is where we're going to put all the wet and dirty stuff, even dedicated space for firewood. There's been so many times that we've gone camping and I've had to leave our stash of firewood here at the house and go without a campfire while we're camping just because I didn't have room to pack firewood. So now, pretty excited to be able to put our paddle boards, our life jackets, especially when they're wet and dirty after the trip, up on top instead of trying to shove it somewhere inside and getting the inside of the van dirty, as well as have all the firewood up there. And then the second thing that we did on the outside to modify it for our needs is we put on a Wolf Rack bike rack that allows us to put 6 bikes on here. Again, we're a family of 8, only 6 bikes. Another reason for the Illuminess rack, because we're going to need to be tossing 2 other bikes up there if we're going to go on a full family bike ride. Even if we stay local, just to go to a trailhead, we need a combination of this and the Illuminess rack to fit all of our bikes. In order to make it a lot easier to get into the back doors, granted, the Wolf Rack does have a way to lay this down, but to make it a little simpler, we installed a rack attach hitch swing that then allows you to swing this out of the way. It's super convenient and a must-have, especially knowing that the back of the van is where we access all of our gear. And so this leads us into a great segue into what we did to modify the inside of the van. We bought this van as just a standard 15-passenger van. It had 4 rows of benches, but in order to modify it for ourselves, what we did was we took out 2 of the benches, the 2 rear benches, in order to create storage and bed space. And mind you, this is a mid-height and mid-length Ford Transit. Took out the 2 back rows. We also sliced the flooring in half and just took out the back half, allowing us to have a lot more vertical space. It was kind of taking up 2 inches, and you'll see exactly why specifically we did that. So that was like the major just modification that we did, kind of permanent modifications, was taking out those benches, selling them, taking out half the floor and just tossing it. And then we installed this bed. I do have a video on how this was specifically installed. If you want to watch that, check out the link in the descriptions. But in order to do this, we had to take off the paneling, mount some hardware, and then in order to put the paneling back on, I just had to make some trim cuts. But overall, you can still keep like the basic interior unless you want to outfit it more with wood panels or what have you. We wanted to go with the original van interior look. We didn't want to get crazy with any custom interior paneling or anything. So that's what we did. We took out the 2 benches, the floor, we put in a bed. We also installed some organization hanging units here on the back doors. These are just basic shoe organizers that you would hang inside of a closet, but we were able to fasten them to this type of like pegboard from IKEA, and it's really just pressure fitted inside the window well behind the plastic paneling. So if I were to pull the paneling off, this thing would fall off. But it really sits sturdy. We tried like high quality, heavy grade Velcro and double-sided sticky tape and everything, and tried to just mount this to the glass or even the frame of the doors, and it just would always come off in the heavy heat. So my wife came up with this idea of mounting it, and so far so good. It's awesome because you can quickly access things that you need: toiletries, straps, fire starting equipment. And so let's go to the other side, just show you what the rest of the van looks like and what we've been doing. This is the 2 rows of benches that we decided to keep in. In order to transport the children, we've got 6 seats here, and then we've just got the typical captain chairs up front. Okay, so we don't always sleep all 8 of us in the bed in the van. A lot of times my wife and I, along with the baby, will sleep on the bed, and the boys will sleep outside on hammocks or in tents, what have you. But sometimes when we're boondocking and even sleeping in like a Walmart parking lot, or it's just crazy weather or whatnot, we'll just cram all 8 of us in here. And what we did was we slightly modified the benches to make that possible so that we can have a queen size bed in the back as well as a full size bed here. All right, and so the internal modification that we did in order to sleep more people inside was we flipped this bench around. Now it's rear facing. This allows us to span this area to make a bed. It creates an awesome area for getting changed. It's not as like condensed in between just 2 benches. Really is awesome. It kind of creates this living room environment when we're in camper mode, but in transport mode, it's very fun for the kids to play and be able to do whatever with each other. But in order to make this a bed, what we did was we grabbed the largest crash pad. If you don't know what a crash pad is, it's for bouldering, a type of climbing. It allows you to climb small or large boulders and fall and not like get hurt. But we got the largest crash pad that Petzl makes, and we toss it in here. And it pretty much creates this quick little bed that is roughly about a full-size bed. It's shorter, so when I sleep on it, my feet are either dangling or I just sleep diagonal on it. Typically, if we're sleeping all 8 of us in here, we'll throw the 5 boys up on the bed, the big bed, the queen size, and then my wife and I, along with the baby, will just cram ourselves in here. It's, yeah, it's kind of crunched. That's why we don't do it that often, having all 8 of us in here. We're excited that maybe up top we can start sleeping kids, whether it's under the stars or we get a rooftop tent. We'll see. But as our children get bigger, we keep modifying the sleeping arrangements. But right now, this is like our 8-person internal sleeping arrangement, is flipping this bench backwards and throwing this crash pad here to create that secondary internal bed. The other cool thing about this crash pad is when you're not using it in bed form, you can just quickly fold it up, and it acts as kind of this, it kind of creates a U-shaped seating area, so you can use it as a bench. Kind of nice there. One way of getting it out of the way without fully taking it out or tossing it up on the bed here. Another modification that we did inside here in this kind of hole area, if that's the right word for like a boat or a plane or something, was we wanted to utilize the overhead space when we're traveling. Obviously, when we're camping, we want to have as much headspace as we can, because I can barely stand up straight in this one. But while we're traveling, our heads are down low, and there's just all this extra space. So what we did was we installed these climbing bolt hangers. This is what we use to anchor ourselves into the rock when we rock climb. I decided to mount these here, and you'll see that I've installed, about 8 of them at the top of the van. And this just allows me to mount stuff to the top of the van. And right now we have just a cargo net up here, and this is where the kids can toss their pillows, their jackets, any stuff that they're not using or want to have quick access to while we're on the road. The other thing that we did too was our kids have like their carry-on bags while we're driving, and so we just found suction cup hooks, and this is where they can hang those bags when we're stopping at the gas station, and the bags aren't just everywhere on the seats and on the floor. Even while we're driving, they can hang it. It's just kind of out of the way if they want to clean up the area. This really helps when we're finally at our campsite and we're not using the bags, the carry-on bags and the items inside, and so they can just toss them away, and it leaves this living room area open for us to change, for us to do what we need to during while we're at camp without the clutter here. Because with 8 people, 5 kids, the inside of this van can get crazy while we're at camp. So any little tidbit that we can do to quickly stash stuff, hang stuff, helps kind of mitigate the messes that we deal with on a regular basis. Overall, the goal that we have is we want to be able to show up to our campsite or our destination and have very little setup, very little just logistical mess in terms of like, oh, now we got to grab this and and throw it out there and grab that and throw it in here when we take down to leave. We want to be able to pull up to the campsite, and for the most part, this bed is ready to just jump on. A lot of times we are leaving after work on Friday to go somewhere so we can do something Saturday morning, and so we show up to the destination late at night, it's dark. We don't want to spend time messing around with totes and sleeping bags and whatnot. We want to just quickly jump on the bed. And so we found this system to be very nice because we can just quickly park the car, the boys quickly crawl onto here, start sleeping, we pull out the crash pad bed, and then we lay down and we're already asleep. There's no need to like mess around with anything. Again, the boys' stuff we just quickly hang up, toss up here, and we can sleep. And then we can get a little bit more, we can set up camp in the morning and not have to worry about it at 10 or 12 at night. So in the back of the van, what we did to increase our ability to haul a lot of gear but stay organized and make things easily accessible was we were toying around with all these different ways that we could have a storage box system or a rolling tray system in the back of the van. We thought about going all in on paying like thousands of dollars to get something made by the various brands out there. We looked at custom making something ourselves, and it really came down to eventually my wife just landed a unicorn on the classified ads. This truck vault system fits perfectly between the wheel wells, and it gives us just enough vertical storage space above it to fit our 62-liter Yeti cooler or these standard 27-gallon totes. And so with this, it allows us to just keep the drawer system fully stocked with the general items that we always want to have in the van, like hammocks and camp chairs and our camp kitchen here. Another thing that I love about this is that if I need to quickly get into the cooler, I can just pull this out and kind of use it as a tray. Get in here and not have to like go all the way down to the ground. Same thing for the totes. You can just pull that out and kind of set the tote on it. You can even use it as a kind of a prep station if you have a board across here. So it's very versatile in terms of having this kind of drawer system. What I really like about this drawer system is that it helps us efficiently use all of the vertical space here under the bed. Because before, these tubs and the cooler, they would be down on the ground, and then you would have this much space of just empty space, and we would utilize it by throwing whatever we could on top of these things. But anytime we needed to access the cooler or the tubs, we had to pull off all the stuff on top of it, then grab it out, put it back in, throw all the junk back on. And so now all of that junk is in these drawers or in these organizers, and then what's on top is strictly containers that we can easily pull out, and we can get about, when oriented this way, we can get 2 deep and kind of like 3 side to side. You can get a lot of these tubs in here. There's just a lot of space there. So it ends up helping us in the long run, because when we have 8 people in our family, that means when we go biking, there's 8 helmets, 8 bikes, 8 hydration bladders and backpacks. When we go climbing, again, 8 helmets, 8 harnesses, 8 pairs of shoes. When we go paddling, that's like at least 5 watercrafts with the paddles, and then the life jackets, 8 life jackets, just all those things. General camping, you got 8 camp chairs, hammocks, 8 hammocks, sleeping bags. We store all the bedding up on the bed, so that's just kind of there, just soft. You can always jump on it, but we try to just keep soft goods up top, and then all the gear and hard goods down below or on the outside. But in general, like, this is not a van life van. We didn't put a pooper or a kitchen in it. It's strictly just gear storage, basic sleeping, and transport seats and seat belts. And so really it's more of like our weekend adventure rig. On occasions we may go on week-long trips in it, but it's really just for those 2 to 3 day weekends. We're going out and having fun, and we just need a place to quickly sleep people, because we may just be going for one night and we don't want to hassle with setting up tents and sleeping pads and all that kind of stuff just for one night. And so we can just make it simple for us by just sleeping on the bed in the crash pad. But also mainly this rig is to help us take all the gear that we need in order to go on all these cool adventures. It's just a matter of getting creative. If we were to sit down and figure out how much money we've actually spent outfitting this vehicle, it's not that much. Yes, we splurged on the Luminous rack. Yes, it was pretty expensive to get the wolf rack and the rack attach. But the bed itself, the construction of the bed is pretty low cost with IKEA support beams and just cheap wood. $25 mattress at a thrift store. $500 for a used classified ad posted truck vault drawer system. And then obviously the gear that we put in it. So really what we've done, the modifications, super simple, super budget friendly. We're not spending $100,000 to outfit this thing. We're just using what we can and spending very little to make it usable for us as we go out and adventure and do all these various activities, because it requires a lot of gear, requires a lot of space, and we like to camp, and so we merge all of that together and we make it happen in this van. So I hope you enjoyed finding out how we modified a basic Ford Transit passenger van into an adventure rig that can transport, sleep, and haul all the gear for an 8-person family. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. I know that like a lot of family van life type content isn't out there, and that's what we're trying to do here on the channel, is trying to help you find out whether you have 1 kid or 8 kids, what can you do to still make this type of adventuring happen for you, if you're interested in the whole van life thing. Otherwise, the only stuff out there is single or couples who are out there doing the van life stuff. And again, we're not full-timers in this. This is just weekend getaways, but still, we're able to sleep all 8 of us in here and haul all that gear